Good evening and a warm welcome to India Today. I'm Paulami Sahay. Here are the headlines we're tracking at the top of this hour. Bengal on the boil after massive protests over Prophet Remark. Cops arrest state BJP president who was en route Howrah. State cracks down on police, sacks Howrah police commissioner. Leader Nizam Qureshi for attempting to incite riots in Kanpur through social media. Meanwhile, bulldozers roll at Kanpur violence main accused Zafar Hashmi's home. Sensational revelations by Jharkhand cops. Cops say Nupur Sharma posters were circulated in Ranchi a day before protest. Muslim society asked to assemble on Friday. Top fashion designer Pratyusha Garimale dies by suicide in her Hyderabad residence. Pratyusha found dead inside her bathroom. Cops suspect Pratyusha consumed carbon monoxide. Kerala gold scam key accused Swapna Suresh claims threat to life, releases audio tapes. Chief Minister Vijayan hits back, says don't try to threaten us, it won't be tolerated. Trouble for Kollywood couple Nayanthara and Vignesh Shivan for wearing footwear inside a temple after their wedding. Vignesh was seen walking barefoot while Nayanthara was seen wearing sandals. Singer Justin Bieber reveals he's suffering from facial paralysis after cancelling shows this week. The 28-year-old says the condition due to a diagnosis of Ramsay-Hunt syndrome.
My face to have paralysis. As you can see, this eye is not blinking.
Top story this evening, sensational revelations in the wake of the violence that took place in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj over Nupur Sharma's prophet remarks. The mastermind behind the Prayagraj protests have been detained. Names of some people linked to AIMIM have also surfaced, but no connection has yet been established. Here's a report. Anger and protests on the streets, at times turning violent. 15 days after the comments made against Prophet Muhammad by now suspended BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma, the nation continues to boil. People took to the streets after the Friday prayers in at least 6 districts in Uttar Pradesh alone. Stone pelting and violent clashes were reported in many instances. In Prayagraj, several people have been arrested. The police claim they have arrested the suspected mastermind identified as Mohammad Javed, who had called for a nationwide ban. Names of some people associated with the AIMIM have also emerged in the investigation.
70 नामजद और करीब 5000 अज्ञात लोगों के खिलाफ मुकदमा दर्ज हुआ है। कुल 68 लोगों को 68 लोगों को अभी तक हिरासत में ले लिया गया है। इन 68 लोगों में से जो मेन मुख्य नाम है वो मोहम्मद जावेद और जावेद पंप का है। ये पंप का व्यवसाय करता है, साथ ही साथ ये मीटिंग्स में चिकनी चुपड़ी बातें करता है, लेकिन अंदर खाने से ये साजिश रचने का काम करता है।
The administration has promised strong action against the perpetrators.
हल्के बल प्रयोग से उनको तितर-बितर किया गया है और जो व्यक्ति थे वीडियो फुटेज के माध्यम से हम लोगों ने चिन्हित किया और जो पीछे से भी इसको अंजाम दे रहे थे उनको भी हम लोगों ने चिन्हित किया। उनकी गिरफ्तारी भी की गई है और निरंतर दबिश भी दी जा रही। वीडियो फुटेज के माध्यम से वो भी देखा जा रहा कि कौन-कौन व्यक्ति इसमें शामिल थे।
In Saharanpur, protests turned into violence in the Ghanta Ghar area. Police say charges under National Security Act will be slapped on those accused of violence.
So far we have demolished 2 residential premises of the accused who have been arrested, and this action will continue. We want to set a example for those people that this type of illegal behavior will not be tolerated by the district administration.
The BJP has alleged that the violence was pre-planned.
हमें ऐसे लोगों को प्रवोक करने की जरूरत नहीं है, बल्कि ऐसे लोगों को परास्त करने की जरूरत है जो लोग कि देश के माहौल को खराब करना चाहते हैं। ऐसा हो नहीं सकता कि आप मजहब को सुरक्षा कवच बना करके और देश के सौहार्द के जो ताने बाने हैं उसको छिन्न भिन्न करने का षड्यंत्र साजिशें करिए।
The protests have been followed by the administration's bulldozer action against alleged illegal properties of those accused of instigating violence. Bureau Report, India Today. Joining me this evening are Uday, Sahay, former IPS, Naveen Chomal, advocate and analyst, Syed, Asad, Abbas, political analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me this evening. I'll come across to you, Mr. Sahay, first. When you look at these pictures and these images that have come in from across the country yesterday, various cities and towns after Friday prayers, especially clashes that we witnessed in Ranchi, Uttar Pradesh, Saharanpur, in Kanpur as well, the violence that was witnessed last Friday and the repercussions that are still being felt, the after effects of it still being felt, Prayagraj yesterday as well. Do they appear to you as spontaneous or do they appear to you as pre-planned, sir?
Well, a little that I have understood by looking at those footages, it is evident that there is a huge gap between the so-called provocation for agitation and the actual incidence of agitation. So any spontaneous act happens immediately, not after a gap of a week and so on. So it's evident that, there were people who were conspiring, designing, and then in a very calculated, cold-blooded manner they have executed their plans. And it is evident across the country because they seem to be networked with each other. There's no doubt about that.
Okay. So in your opinion, of course, what you're saying is that if this was to be spontaneous, it should have happened immediately, possibly after the remarks that were said to be allegedly the provocation for these instances, but that did not happen. They seem to be happening 15 days after those remarks were made by the suspended BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma, who, most of these protesters and those who are out in the streets claim to have provoked these instances. Naveen Chomal, do you agree with the analysis that has been just made and suggested by Mr. Uday Sahay?
I fully agree with him. In fact, I have to add something more to it. Kindly appreciate, it is a fact which needs to be told in open now, and I think all our law enforcing agencies know it very well, that since decades, the Muslim community has been storing arms in their houses. There are a lot of mullah, maulvi and religious.
Follow me, do not allow statements on your
Sir, Mr. Chomal, you're saying the entire community. You're referring to the entire community, which is the objection that Abbas is raising as well. The entire community, are you saying?
He can deny, there is no doubt about it. But
you're actually saying the entire Muslim community.
Yes. There may be exceptions, I'm not saying that now, but a large section of the community has been working under the fear being instilled by the mullah maulvis that they have to fight. And please appreciate that the religious leaders are still instigating the people that we have to basically create a scene of riotings and protests in this country so that this country doesn't stand in the world in a reputed manner for drawing the FDIs and investments, so the economic progress of the nation gets affected. So Nupur's remark...
Okay, you're of course implying that there's a much larger design and this is much bigger than what we're seeing on the streets right now. Mr. Abbas?
Now allow me to come to you. Okay, now allow me to come to you, sir. I think my name is called out, so allow me to come to you, please. First and foremost, Paulambi ji, all the brethren of Bangalore city today here in Karnataka state, we had a meeting with the Commissioner of Police Bangalore. We had representation from the Jain community, the Sikh community, the Christian community, along with the Muslim community. And we told the police that we stand in solidarity and we appeal for peace. We are not looking at any form of protest taking place here, but we would want peace. Also, as a matter of fact, it is when debates like this, certain people like Mr. Naveen Chomal come out and blame a community for storing. So you can send any amount of police to my house or any of my brethren, you'll find nothing. It is absolutely wrong when on a TV debate, such vitiating atmosphere is spread. Let us tell you, sir, we believe that there is a Ram in Ramzan and there is an Ali in Diwali. Also, let me take this position, Polomiji, on your show as an Indian and an Indian Muslim, that we condemn unequivocally, unconditionally, any form of violence which takes place in the name of protest. That is certainly not. Let me take this medium from your channel, ma'am, and tell you that our Prophet in his holy book says, Hubbul Watan, which means, my dear brethren, my dear friends, love for your country, live for your country, give your life to the country. Any form of violent protest is not only wrong in the society, but it is indeed Gustakh-e-Rasool. Also, as a matter of fact, we need to go ahead and respect the religions.
I don't think so.
Yes,
anybody on this panel is not going to welcome the statement that you're making. It is definitely welcome. But what is happening on the ground is completely otherwise. Are you saying that these appeals of calm which are going out now, after these incidents have happened, are they going to have any impact? But because clearly, as Mr. Uday Sahay was pointing out, these don't seem to be spontaneous protests or riots that are breaking out after these protest calls are given.
Absolutely, Polomiji. The fact of the matter that this incident happened on May 27th, what we saw the BJP spokesperson coming out and making a statement, blasphemous statement indeed. The fact of the matter, what did we see here?
Nupur's statement is just a mere excuse.
No, sir, I do not interrupt you. I'm sure you'll be allowed your time. You can speak then, sir. Allow me my time. I will hear you patiently. Thank you very much. The fact of the matter is we certainly know the FIR was placed. Why did it take place? We need to understand, Polomiji, when Indian Muslims raise their voice, this government, it falls on deaf ears. But when we saw Arab nations like Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, Iran summoning the Indian envoys or the ambassadors, then we see a certain FIR coming through. The fact of the matter is FIR should have been raised much before.
But they've been launched. Okay, you can keep debating, Mr. Abbas. You can keep debating about the fact that whether those FIRs were indeed going to be lodged earlier or they have come under pressure from the Arab world backlash or whatever. Why is it now that people who are stepping out on those streets are in fact now indulging in arson, indulging in vandalism, indulging in violence, which has in fact claimed 2 lives in Ranchi?
Polomiji, let me tell you, I was on a call with a dear friend of mine who just came back from Ranchi, and he did mention to me that 2 of innocent lives have been lost. This is completely uncalled for. That is the precise reason why when I spoke to the Commissioner of Police, Bangalore, now allow me to complete, sir. You'll have your time. I'm making a statement.
Okay, Mr. Abbas, please complete so that Mr. Chomal can come in. Please complete.
Okay, so yeah, allow me to complete. Thank you very much. The fact of the matter is, anywhere the violence happens, innocent people die. Therefore, the community needs to understand that no amount of violence is going to help. Only peace, brotherhood, happiness is going to help. So therefore, through your medium, let me also take the onus and responsibility to all our young brethren and everyone out there to please do not entail in any form of violence. Have faith in law and order. This will take its course and there will be betterment of society. Because we need to understand.
Okay, so you're making that appeal. You're making that appeal to the community. But
jo karta burai, wo insan bura hai.
What you're basically saying is, unfortunately, these are members of the community who've indulged in this violence. That is the admission that you're making, Mr. Abbas. Mr. Chomal, please come in. Please come in.
Polomiji, the simple point
Mr. Abbas, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. You've had your few minutes.
No, you are misquoted me. It's not what I'm saying, ma'am. It is not. I'm saying that those who are conspirating, those who are doing violence, I think they must be put behind bars.
Okay,
but
they are members of the community. Or are they
we cannot blame the whole community.
Somewhere else?
What I'm saying, ma'am, you cannot blame the whole community for the actions.
Nobody is blaming the whole community. That is something that I objected to at the start as well. I said that the whole community can't be brushed with one single brush stroke. But let Mr. Chomal now respond. Mr. Chomal, go ahead.
I appreciate that. Yes, please go ahead.
Please see the record of last 100 years or more than 100 years in India. All the riots, 99% of the riots have been started by Muslim people only, people from the Muslim community only. And the drop of the head.
Hate on the show. Yes, why is this man so anti-Muslim? Don't allow him to expunge hate on the show.
Mr. Chomal, Mr. Chomal,
why are you spreading hate on the show?
Mr. Chomal,
please. Yes. I'm talking about statistics, I'm talking facts. I'm not saying anything of my own.
Who gave you the statistics?
If you see,
kindly do not make such statements. Polomiji, I request you to, he said 99% of the rights.
Mr. Chomal, again you're painting an entire community with one brush stroke.
am I saying that all Muslims are doing? But all riots have been started by Muslims only.
Okay, let's just get in a same voice on this. Mr. Uday Sahay, Mr. Uday Sahay, do you agree with any of the points that are being made by the other panelists over here?
First of all, I think it is high time that we talk with certain reason. In the highly inflammatory situation that all of us are in across the country, this is no time to get into stereotypes and oversimplification of reality. To say that Hindus have done it or Muslim has done it is an oversimplification which we should avoid. It's the time that hate speech should not be mainstreamed. Should not be mainstreamed, and for the last 2 days I see this trend on the media that they are trying to bring in the logical, the reasonable voices from both sides, which is a very welcome sign. And the kind of actions that are now being initiated, they are clear-cut, tough actions which are necessary on the ground. In Prayagraj itself, I am told they have initiated actions under National Security Act. They are initiating actions under Gangster Act and other sections of IPC which are very much required at this moment. And they have identified more than 5,000 people, I am told, and which is a big number, and out of which about 70 are already named. So it's the time for action, but action not with passion, which may be natural from both sides, but better avoided.
Okay. So my question to you is, do you see that there has been some sort of a failure in terms of being ready for some sort of flare-up of this kind, intelligence failure? Because these incidents that happened yesterday post-Friday prayers, some of those protests, not all of those protests of course erupted in violence, some of those protests were in fact peaceful, but there were several such incidents that were reported from across the country and the length and breadth of the country where riots in fact happened. 2 lives have been lost in Ranchi, arsoning, looting, violence, ransacking, vandalism, all of it being reported, sir.
Situations are different in UP and other places. In UP again there is a mixed situation. There were certain districts which to my mind were quite prepared for the situation. They had better intelligence and their preparation led to containment of situation faster and swifter. But places where they were little behind in understanding how the stones are being collected, how there is certain lull before the storm and uneasiness in the atmosphere, there they have taken a bigger beating. In Ranchi, what has happened, of course, our training is that the entire there is a sequence of use of force, and in normal situation you go from minimum to maximum, and 2 lives which have been lost is a logical corollary in a riotous situation that the policemen were in. If they were in that kind of situation, they have gone from maximum to minimum, which is perhaps the requirement on the spot. So where they were caught unaware, it has been not very efficient situation. Where they were prepared, they have done a good job.
Okay, so that is your assessment of how things in fact panned out vis-a-vis the law and order situation on the ground. Abbas, will you now say that this is something that should be left to the law of the land, if at all what is being construed as a blasphemous statement by the Bharatiya Janata Party, and it's not sufficient if the community is not quite satisfied with the action that the party has taken against the spokespersons of the party, who have now in fact been suspended and expelled in both cases from the party, then this is not the way to in fact demand justice.
I greatly respect the words of Uday Sahay ji, the former IPS police officer. I think sane and peaceful voices such as this is the need of the hour. Certainly, sir, hate speech must and should not be mainstreamed, and also the onus lies amongst us not to deliver anything that hurts a community. Also, as a matter of fact, if our Constitution of India allows us to protest, that means a peaceful protest, a silent protest. Any religion in the world does not profess any such thing. So also the way ahead to go is certainly have faith in the law and order and the Constitution of India, the system, its police and its enforcements. I think that is the way to go. go ahead. Also, as a matter of fact, Allama Iqbal's word clearly prophesies what happens. Imam Hind, that is the respect he gave to Lord Sri Ram. Mazhab nahi sikhata aapas mein bair rakhna. We need to understand it is not the religion. Religion always preaches peace. That is the way to go. Now, can I make my point, sir? Sir, people like you are hate mongers. I completely denigrate your statement which you're saying about Muslims. Sir, please, हाथ जोड़ के आप समझिए हिंदू मुस्लिम भाई हैं, हम आपस में भाई हैं और भाई रहेंगे. और writing कौन कर रहा है रोड पे आके? Hindus are my brothers, Muslims are my brothers. So do not provoke, sir. Do not provoke. Let us be together. Let us profess peace. Hate begets hate. Violence begets violence.
Will you, Mr. Abbas, also condemn the threat calls that are going out against Nupur Sharma?
Yes, over the last 15 days, I've appeared in more than 10 channels, Polami ji. I may not agree with Nupur Sharma. I've been on many debates with her. I might have a different ideology, but unequivocally, unconditionally, I condemn all the death threats. I condemn all the rape threats. That is certainly not the way to go. Have faith. Kindly have faith in the law and order of the country, because this is the country where we speak of Hubbul Watan, the love and life for the country.
Okay, Mr. Chomal, would you like to come in on that? Would you agree that now is the time to put an end to this? Now is the time to, in fact, work on peace and solidarity, because this is going to hurt everyone. Everyone.
There is no doubt about it. But then there is a way of doing it. Kindly appreciate, just by trusting the community that they will be peaceful, it will be a foolishness. It is a time in which the social media has awakened the entire Hindu community now in all over the country. That look at the agenda of these people. Every Friday after Ramat, these people have started pelting the stones on drop of the head. They are committing crimes.
This guy is spreading hate on your show. Don't allow him, please.
Mr. Chomal, again, by saying these people, what you're basically doing, you probably do not hear even what Mr. Uday Sahay was saying, but that this is not the time to do this. This is not the time to do this.
So when is the time? When they cut off throats?
The law is taking its course, sir. The law is taking its course. We are, of course, condemning the violence. Absolutely not supporting the violence that is happening on the streets in the form of protest.
It's time to tell our viewers the reality. We cannot put a wrong picture in front of our esteemed viewers that everything is fine.
But isn't this stoking fires, sir? Is this calming nerves? Is this calming fires? Is this stoking fires?
No, see, kindly appreciate. Sometimes fire has to be fought with the fire. There is no other way out. Please appreciate there is a larger agenda.
Please take this man off TV.
Okay, Mr. Sahay, just come in now. Mr. Sahay, final word from you. Final word from you. How do we go from here on? Where do we go from here on, sir?
Let that fire come from a legitimate source like police. Even if they have killed 2 people, nobody anywhere in the country is raising the issue why they were killed, because that was a righteous situation. But sitting in a studio, sitting outside in a cafe and saying that fire should be handled with fire, whether you have that authority in your hand, number one, you are committing as much a mistake as these writers have on the road across the country yesterday, and that's not really desirable at this stage. To my mind, I mean, when we talk of enforcement of law, I have one different take.
Yeah.
I think Polami ji,
let Mr. Sahay complete. Let Mr. Sahay complete. I've just the last few seconds left. Let Mr. Sahay complete what he was saying.
Please let me say. This Gandhigiri is very
Polami ji, this person is spreading hate.
This is not Gandhigiri, my dear. This is not Gandhigiri. This is not Gandhigiri. This is the need of the hour. Because you are sitting in a air-conditioned studio, you are speaking like this.
Mr. Chomal, this is all the time that we have. This is all the time that we have for this debate. Let the law take its own course. That is coming from a former IPS officer who just clinically analyzed for us what exactly happened and how this couldn't have possibly been spontaneous. It was definitely planned. It's happening days after those alleged provocative statements were in fact made. Those statements, of course, nobody is saying were not objectionable, but let the law take its own course is what everyone is saying. Violence is not the way forward. Mr. Chomal, Mr. Syed, Abbas and Mr. Uday Sahay, thank you so much for joining us this evening on India Today.